need to be cautious about those you invite. And I think that is the focus that I want us to have from the Cat in the Hat today. Who do you invite into your life? Now, I realize, understandable, that we can be put into family circumstance situations of people we didn't invite. You just, boom, you've got them. But you still get to determine how often you allow them in. You still have some elements of influence, if not control. The younger we are, I realize, the less control we have. But you still can decide some of that. But most of the time, our trouble comes from people we just freely give access to our phone, to our text, to our Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook. I realize they do that more. And then occasionally we might talk to them. You might go to the club or the restaurant, hang out for the weekend because it's so boring. I just had to go do something and they invited me out. I'm just letting you know we're going to have some things I just want to bring to your attention here in the next few minutes that come out of this particular verse. My thoughts from this set of verses from 1 Corinthians 32 and 33. Here's the verses. And if there's no resurrection, they're having a discussion and saying, well, if some people are saying there's no resurrection. Well, if there is no resurrection, let's feast and drink and, for tomorrow we die. There's no boundaries. I've been listening to once in a while a guy, I wish I remember his name. He goes on college campuses. He's an older guy. But he comes in there and someone will say, no, it's wrong to have that thought. And he's a believer, and he believes in a pretty conservative framework of thinking in reference to the world and behaviors and relationships. And people come, well, that's not right. And they'll say, well, wait, let's first go step back and talk about the element of right and wrong. What gives you the boundaries of what's right and wrong? What is it that determines them for you? Because if you just make up your own right and wrong, then where I put my line is right. And you have no reason or right or excuse to say my line, where I believe right and wrong is wrong. Because that's what you want. If there's no truth, then you make up the line wherever the truth is and wherever the line is that makes you feel comfortable, justifies or allows you to do whatever you want. And then if you disagree with what I say, what justification do you have to disagree? Why can you say I'm wrong? You can't. You can only say I am wrong if there's the standard of right and wrong. Now, my friends, what God has given us and what he shows and reveals to us is the standard of right and wrong. So we look in here, and that's what they're saying. He said, well, if there's no resurrection, if there's no truth, if it didn't happen, well, let's just eat, drink, be merry, because tomorrow we're going to die. And then Paul writes, to make sure it's clear, don't be fooled by those who say such things. If someone is going, you just need to do whatever you want. That temptation, I just want you to know, you need to do whatever you want or do whatever makes you happy. That temptation is not generational in the sense of that's just come and us old people now have just brought it to you young people. No, old people said it to us when we were younger, and in some way those old people said it to us when they were younger. Old people said it to them. Don't be fooled by everything that someone says. There's always going to be glitter. There's always shiny. There's always more. There's always better. The old saying goes for some of us old people, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. We say it to our daughter. We've been saying that for a long time. She's in her 30s, and she's like, I know. Yeah, I just keep repeating it to you. Why? Because the truth and the temptation of it does not leave as you get older. If you have to live by experience, it is, as I've said, and I want to remind all of us, experience is a ruthless teacher. It doesn't care what you learn. It doesn't care how you learn it. And it doesn't care what it looks like after you've experienced it. If you're broken, if you're, in debt, if you're, need therapy, if you need medication, if you need to be put in a hospital, it doesn't care how you learn it. If you just go for experience, you are going for the most risky behavior and possible way of learning. Now, I used to say as a kid, well, that's the best way of learning. No, it's for arrogant, prideful people. Arrogance and pride makes experience the only way you can learn something. If it's the only way you can learn, what you need to do first is repent because you are prideful. You are arrogant. Now, it also is a fine line because you're also stupid. Now, when I was younger, what I realized as my older self talked to my younger self, it said this: Mark, you were prideful, you were arrogant, and you were stupid. Now we think, well, everybody's going to be prideful, arrogant, and stupid. Yes, but you try to hope that your prideful, arrogant, stupid years go like this rather than like this. Because I know some people who are my age who were prideful, arrogant, and stupid. It isn't boundary. It doesn't come with boundary of age. There's old people who remain the same. So the question isn't age. The question is, how teachable and open are you to learning in other ways? Now I realize me as an old person telling you, if you're a young person, even those of you with more experience, the thing about being a human is that we can disregard any particular amount of information and facts that are there. Some people say, you tell the truth will make all the difference. No, the truth makes no difference unless you're open to listen to it. If it is just the truth and you're right, education is the only thing you need, and you just become more educated and all your life is going to be perfect. You don't ever have to worry about a problem. Just needs to be education. You just need to have more knowledge. What we have learned is that knowledge falls short. And where it falls short is the part that you and I are prideful, arrogant, and stupid. We do what we want, no matter what the stats say, the statistics say, no matter what the facts are. That's the only part of the downfall that I have within the American education system, I think, and all the way we fix things in America is just pay more money to educate people more and have better programs that we think it's going to stop some of the actual core issues that we have. It's not going to, because facts don't change behavior. I would like to say they did, but they don't. Here it is. Don't be fooled by those who say such things, for bad company corrupts good character. Think carefully about what is right and stop sinning. Bad company corrupts good character. Now, you still have to, we've been called to, as part of God's plan, to go touch people who don't have any hope and don't have Jesus. They don't have light in their life. But you can't go and live with those people. Because I want you to know the presence of darkness will extinguish or diminish your light. But you have to have people you don't disagree with, that you don't really agree with or like all the time in your circle. If not, it's a holy huddle, and that does not honor Jesus. And it doesn't save anyone. So we're at a very interesting point of tension. If you bring it over here and you think, I don't want any of that stuff out there, so I just need to get 3 people in here that I trust. Okay. But your job, part of God's plan, is to go make a difference to them. So, again, that's why we're at work or we're at school, we're in our neighborhoods, we go to restaurants, we go play, not to find people who are like us, but to make a difference to those who aren't. But you still shouldn't have them. Don't allow them. Don't invite them into your circle of constant relationship building. Here's a few points, a few thoughts. I put them down. I'm writing them down. I'm sharing with you. You can do whatever you want with them. Then we're going to leave. I appreciate you coming today. I just enjoy getting to share. Actually, usually I chew on something and I'm thinking, yeah, okay. Because the Lord's speaking to me before I ever share it with you. Trust should be earned, not given. Some of you are overly, unbelievably, I cannot understand how, so trusting. You know, and I'm just amazed by it. It's like, oh my, wow. And I'm not talking that, angry and kind of, no, I'm just like, I don't understand even, well, no. But you shouldn't just give it freely. And then, those of you who are huge trusting people, And then you also usually have huge hurts and wounds because you don't have a filter on who should be allowed in and who should be kept at a distance. So, here's some additional thoughts. I've said this in a variety of different ways to myself. I remember years ago I've said it to students when I was youth minister. I've said it to our kids. I've said it to adults again. It's always reminded me in this particular case, trust can be gained from personal experience. You can gain that. You can get to know somebody. It's the same way in learning. Learning can be gained from personal experience. We always say that's the best learner. It's not the best. It's the most ruthless. You'll remember it the best, but that's because it usually is like a punch to your face. If I always greeted you with a punch to your face, maybe you would let me greet you like that the second time. But what would you do at least the third time? You would learn. You would hit me back, or you would dodge it, you duck it, because Mark always greets me with a punch, and I don't want to be punched. You would learn. But you would learn because that first one hurt. Now, you could get to know me, and you wouldn't have to get that experience. If I always greeted you with a punch, but your best friend was there, I bet when I greeted him by himself, he would not say, "Hi, Mark." No, because he would have observed that Mark always punches when he says hi. He wouldn't have to have the experience. He would get it through observation. And his observation then would make him change his behavior. I'm not greeting Mark because he punches in the face. "Hi, Mark." Did I ever punch him? No, he got it through observation. Trust can be gained from personal experience. Wise counsel. You shouldn't go around Mark and greet him unexpectedly because he always says hi and he punches you. And you'll think, well, I've never met him. I'm just letting you know. I'm giving you some wise counsel that when you go and meet Mark, watch out because he greets punching. Okay. That's wise counsel. You can build trust gain from personal experience, from wise counsel. Someone who says that is trustworthy or they're not. Observe confirmation. That's where if your friend, you're with someone and you watch me punch your friend and you've observed that's crazy, but I'm not going to greet him like that. Or it can be just studied insight. Watch out for people who look like this. There's a picture of me, and people who look like this, they call themselves Mark, and they always greet with punching. So I've read that. Now all of a sudden I've seen that. I've heard about it, and maybe you've experienced it. Okay. But that's where trust. And some of you are going, well, I already know that. Good. Sometimes we just need to be reminded. Because there's always somebody wanting to be in your circle. I kept them on there because I'm going to write something about them. But I have gotten like a half a dozen, more than that, but just here this last week, a half a dozen voicemails from a variety of different numbers telling me they want to help me with my defaulted taxes. You don't have to worry about the taxes you've got that you still owe, because we've got a way. If you just hit this number right onto this particular website, we've got a way to help you. You won't have to pay any of those taxes back. And I'm thinking, dude, that's the one organization in the government that no matter who's in office will come and get you. But I've kept that. I've kept it, and I'm sitting there, and Lisa goes, "Why do you keep it?" Because it reminds me, everybody who calls are not trustworthy. And now the thing that makes it most unnerving is, as I listen to some studies, that AI, our AI, somebody say what the words are. Yeah, artificial intelligence, thank you, can take, I watched a news program, 60 Minutes or something like that, and one of the gals went to one of the places who were working in that, I don't remember where, but they took little pictures of her, not even video, pictures of her, took her voice, then put her in front of the podium, the presidential podium where they do all the announcements, and a fake one of those, and had her say a whole bunch of nonsense that she never said. And she was like, well, that's scary. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's what's coming. little unnerving. But that's one of those things we're going to have to realize, and it's good to be reminded. Not everybody who says they're for you is for you. You know, not everybody who is interested in your well-being cares about you. And we feel bad, those of you who are huge trusting people, you feel bad when you get done because you said no, or you didn't listen, or you hung up. Or you didn't even help someone. Because there's just something about what you sensed and got that is like, there's just something about it doesn't seem right. Trust should be something you earn, not something you're given. A few other things and thoughts before we close this morning. Because trust becomes a huge thing. Should you let the cat in the hat into your house? No. But what happens when you've said yes to him and you married him? You'll have to ask Lisa. I'm not going down. That's a whole different sermon series. We're not talking about that one. Don't be fooled by enticing talk. That becomes a real issue. We know that there are a lot of different systems prey on us older people. You know, hey, your grandson's in jail and needs some extra money, and they find out names. And sometimes they can find out names and where they're from. Your grandson in Colorado, by this name, is in jail, and you're thinking, well, that sounds close. And what I've reminded you, you're going to ask God for wisdom and discernment, but it's not from just right and wrong. It's from when it seems right and what is almost right. It's the fine line. To ask yourself double questions. And I've even had people, I usually do that, you know, when they ask me, you've got to make a decision. I said, you know, because I've made some wrong decisions. And so now it's like, you know, let me talk to Lisa. Let me talk to my wife. I don't even say her name yet. Let me talk to my wife.